How's it going, guys? My name is Vinay Kilaire and I'm the writer, director and co-producer of Halloween Breakout, a Halloween fan film. This will be the first in a series of behind the scenes videos going into how we shot the film, what gear we used, casting, and how we kept everything low budget. Hopefully this will give you guys an insight into what goes into making a film of this scale and how you guys can do it too. Obviously, spoilers for the actual film if you haven't watched it already. I'll have it linked down in the description below. So without further ado, guys, let's just get into it. So this film came about when my friend Kalvinder came to me one day saying that he wanted to make a film, something along the line of like a horror slasher type film. And we were both big horror fans and Halloween was one of our favorite slashers. And this was at a time when the latest Halloween film came out, which was Halloween Ends, and that was still fresh in our minds. And it was a film that we were really disappointed in. So I said, hey, why don't we make a Halloween fan film? He liked the idea, so we met up just to talk through ideas about the film. We went to Nando's, and by the end of that meal, I had the whole plot outlined. When it comes to me as a writer, when I get a good idea or an idea that I like, it ends up just snowballing into it becoming its own thing. A good story is only as good as how you execute it. They both go hand in hand. If you got a good story, you have to make sure you tell it right and do it justice. So yeah, from then on, it was quite easy to write the script. I think I got it done in like 2 nights and that was it. Then we talked about when we wanted to release it. Halloween, of course. And what would our budget be? No friggin' clue. This project was a fan film, so you can't really get funding for a fan film. We thought about crowdfunding as well, but I didn't think people would want to donate to a filmmaker that they don't know and who doesn't have many narrative film projects to back him for it. So if we did do a sequel, this is what we would show for it and probably crowdfund that one. So in terms of story, this film would take place after the first film from 1978, but it would disregard any of the sequels. I really wanted to fit this into the canon of the 2018 trilogy, but if we did end up doing sequels, I don't think I would go in that direction and this would be its own branch timeline in a way. So now that we had the story and the script, I had to find a cast as well as a crew. So I thought this was actually going to be the hardest part of the project, but it actually turned out to be the easiest, surprisingly. At first I thought I'd find people who I knew, who I thought would be part of the film, and that came to about a total of 3 people. So I thought, how am I going to find people to be part of this film? Luckily, I knew of websites like Backstage and Mandy. These are websites that you can use to find film work and find people to be a part of your project. But I knew because we were funding this project ourselves, we didn't have the money to pay everyone. So that was a fear that I had when I was creating an ad for these websites. But I thought, let's just put an ad on there and we'll see who's interested in joining. So I put an ad on each of them, listed all the roles, marked it as unpaid, and I just waited. Guys, the response was actually insane. I think within the first couple of days, I had about 70 people apply to be a part of the film. I was mind blown about how many responses we actually got. And honestly, that's what kept me busy for the next couple of days. Whenever someone new would apply for a role in the film, I'd send them a message straight away, letting them know all the details of the role and what they need to do. There were some roles that required auditions as well, so I sent them a couple of script slides and just told them how they could send in their video. It got to a point where there was too many people applying to be in the film, so I ended up giving everyone a deadline. So I gave everyone a deadline as to when they should send in their auditions, and basically I would turn off the ad so that no one else could apply. Looking back at it now, I had over 180 people apply for roles in the film, which is just crazy. And that was just from those 2 websites. I had people messaging me on Instagram as well, and also scouted people at film networking events in my area. I'll tell you, if you are struggling to find people to be in your film, it really is worth going to these film networking events and putting yourself out there. Attend film festivals because they normally have a social event where you can go and network with different people. Yes, it can be nerve-wracking, especially if you're by yourself, but what you have to think is everyone else is in the same boat. Here's a story. Me and Cal went to a mixer night that was happening as part of the Birmingham Film Festival. We're from Birmingham, by the way. We just wanted to check it out because we planned on submitting the Halloween film the following year. And we went around just talking and making connections with people. Fast forward to when we were shooting, we were planning a day to shoot the very last scene needed for the film. And our sound guy, Kieran, he wasn't available. We had to change the schedule up a bit because of the weather. But luckily at that mixer night, we met another guy who does sound, and that was Mads. So meeting him kind of saved the shoot really, and we were able to wrap filming. So what I will say is don't rely just on social media. I would say go out and meet people in person and expand your network. Even if it's just a quick hello, what do you do? Are there any projects that you're working on right now? Are you looking for any roles in particular? Can I get your Instagram? Just get their Instagram and then talk later. Especially if you're just starting out, forget about pay. It's all about making friends, making connections, and gaining experience. That's what's going to benefit you in the long run. But I also have to say, the filmmaking community in Birmingham is huge. There's a lot of events here that you can attend, and it will open your eyes to how much opportunity there is and how much talent there actually is here in Birmingham. So if you are in Birmingham, I would highly recommend going to these events. So after all that, we found our cast and crew. Now let's talk about shooting and the gear we used. So to shoot this, I used my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. Now for a camera that came out about 7 years ago now, and considering how fast camera technology advances, this camera can still deliver a beautiful image despite it being only a micro four thirds sensor. Dynamic range is amazing. It shoots in B-RAW, it can shoot 4K up to 60 frames per second and up to 120 frames in 2.6K, and they've also added the ability to shoot in ProRes RAW in a recent update. That's the thing about Blackmagic. Like I said, this camera came out about 7 years ago. They've had 9 cameras in total come out since then, but they're still updating this one with great new features. And the crazy thing is, you can buy this camera for about £800 brand new or about 600 like second hand. So if you're just starting out, I highly recommend this camera. When it comes to lenses, right now I've come to the realization that when I'm buying manual cine lenses, I should get them in PL mount if I have the option. Reason being, since buying this camera, I've bought a Sony a7S III, which I use for work, and the new Lumix S1R2, which I plan to use for future film projects. All of them have different lens mounts, but they all adapt to PL mount. That's why going forward, I'll only be buying lenses in PL mount if they are available. But for this project, I used the Surae Nightwalker lenses. Now these lenses stopped down to a f1.2, which helped a lot because there were a lot of nighttime scenes. I bought these quite a while ago when they were being sold on Indiegogo or something like that. And this was the first time I actually used them on a proper project, and they turned out great. Now let's talk about lighting. For the whole project, I think I had about 4 lights in total on me, but I'm pretty sure for each scene we only used about 2 lights max. One was a 300 watt light, and the second one would either switch between a 200 watt light or a 120 watt light. Let's say if there was an indoor scene, I'd probably use the 120 watt. But if we were shooting outdoors, I'd go for the 200 watt. I also had a small like 60 watt light if needed. Now you guys are probably thinking how we powered these lights outdoors, because with a traditional portable V-mount battery, you're probably not going to get the most out of that light. It's only going to be as bright as the battery's voltage is going to allow it to be. But if you're powering something that's 120 watts, 200 watts, 300 watts, you're not going to get the most out of the light because of the battery. So we used portable power stations. This was the very first time I was using portable power stations, and I was very happy with the performance. I tested them beforehand, timing how long they lasted on max power. My 300 watt light, which was the brightest light that I had, lasted about 3.5 hours on max power, but most of the time we were only using it on about 70%. But I'll talk more about lighting setups and camera equipment as we go through the scenes of the film in future episodes. For sound equipment, we used a Sennheiser MKE 600 microphone and a Zoom F6 recorder. Audio isn't my strong suit, so I just googled what a good budget microphone would be to use the film, and I found the Sennheiser one, and a mate of mine owned a Zoom F6 recorder that he can let me borrow. So that's it for gear. Let's talk about shooting on a budget. So how did I get the money to do this film? Saved up. The truth is, we planned to shoot this film in 2023. We only started planning around June time, and we wanted to release it on Halloween that same year. But when it comes to work, summertime is my busiest time. So from June up until end of August, beginning of September, I am pretty much non-existent. And in that time, I had to plan everything, but for me, it just wasn't feasible. So I decided to postpone it to the following year. That way we could prepare better and save up more money. I also wanted this film to be the best it could be, so I didn't want to rush into it by doing it in the same year. So when it comes to actually releasing it, it was actually 2025. So now you're thinking, how did it go from 2023 to 2025? So we actually did end up shooting this in September 2024, but due to the lovely UK weather that we have here, we had to postpone shooting one of the scenes until the weather got better. That scene we shot in November because we couldn't get everyone's schedule to line up and the weather was just not cooperating. So with a project like this, you just have to be straight up with people that you bring on board and tell them that you can't pay them. This is something that I told everyone straight away when I was gathering cast and crew. I was hoping that I could pay for travel expenses and food, but luckily I was able to do that for them. To cut down on the cost, we tried to keep the cast and crew fairly local, and the majority of them were from Birmingham or the Midlands. So what you have to keep in mind is everyone who worked on this film literally donated their time to bring this film to life. People who I hardly knew, whether they were fans of the franchise or if they liked the script, it still blows my mind. So thank you to everyone who showed up for this film. I really could not have done it without you. So you know how I said cast and crew were going to be the hardest things? No, the hardest thing was locations. I'll talk more about each location in future episodes, but luckily we didn't have to pay a penny to use a specific location at all for this film. One of the good things about Birmingham is that they're pretty chill when filming in public places. We didn't run into any police or anything, so all we had to worry about was people interrupting filming. And thankfully we didn't have to deal with any of that either, because most of the scenes we were shooting in public spaces were at nighttime. But like I said, I'll give more detail on each location as we go through the scenes in the future episodes. So that's it for episode 1 of the behind the scenes of Halloween Breakout. In the next episode, I'll start going through each scene, breaking down how we shot them. Again, if you haven't seen the film, I'll have a link down in the description below. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.